everybody, what's up? Circus here, coming at you with this week's Rogue Deck Roundup. Joining me this week is Ryi, fresh off his new haircut. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, I'm great. We're now known as Duel Links Entertainment.
Oh, God. Taking Paradox Brothers to the next level here. Looking good, as always. All right, so if you guys don't know what we do here, we track decks and tournaments throughout the week, and we see how the decks perform in the tournaments, and then we assign them points based on how they finish. All right, so if a deck gets a first place finish, it gets 6 points. If it gets a second place finish, it's 4 points. Top 4 is 2 points, and a top 8 gets a single point. So this week, the tournaments we tracked, they're all rounds of Swiss into a top cut. It's one deck with a 6-card side where they can side in a skill. That way our results are consistent. And the tournaments meeting those criteria this week were the Battle Phase Series, those are the ones that we host, the Meta Weekly, the Meta Championship Series, the Pharaoh's Cash Tournament, and the one at the bottom there, I'm pretty sure is a swear word in another language, so I'm not going to say it, but we did track that one as well. All right, so all that being said, Ryi, what do you think it's going to be, buddy? Number one in the Rogue decks?
Best deck in the game. Dragoonity. No, it's Infernity.
It is Infernity and Weather Painters taking the top 2 spots. Now, everybody's saying the new box is doo-doo. It's garbage. Don't invest in it. But when the 2 decks that are in there, besides Performa Pals, can win, a tournament, that's pretty good.
That's the dream of a new deck. Honestly, you come out and you win a tournament. Out of 200 plus people that entered, you were the one that won with the new deck. Exactly what you want out of it.
Right. So, I mean, people are complaining the meta stale. Might be a little bit, but we're seeing flashes of the spice in the tournaments, and these decks are definitely helping that. So, let's take a closer look at Infernities here.
Yeah, so Infernity, this is the 6-star variant build that you've seen. There's been a lot of discussion back and forth in the community. I remember the day that this actually won, a lot of people were saying this is going to be a tier deck. This is going to be a tier deck, and then pretty much right afterwards, it fell flat on its face as people tried to replicate the success.
Yep.
I think ultimately, it's an OTK deck that relies heavily on Hey True Nade. I think it's kind of like Dragoonity, but like way better because you can.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
You can use True Nade and stuff like that. So it's just one of those decks that. If they get a good hand, if they're able to get their Hey True Nade, their Heat Wave, they're gonna OTK you. Like it's one of those, like they play one card and you're like, oh yeah, I just died. Like I don't have anything else, so I'm dead. So very very good rogue deck. One of 2 good decks that just came out for sure from the new box. We'll have to kind of track and see where it goes. Obviously, you're looking at this deck list, a lot of those staples in there. The Canadias, you should have the bad aims you can get basically for free by going to the Dragoonity box, Fiendish Chain. What can you do? Sucks. Life sucks.
Well, if you look at the finishes here, you can kind of track it throughout the week because Battle Phase Mondays, Battle Phase EU is on Wednesday, and then Battle Phase Friday, obviously on Friday. So as it starts out hot, just kind of drops off to top 8s, and then we don't see anything else in the MCS or anything.
Top 8s is really good. Obviously not being able to top MCS, that sucks. But we also did go through a meta shift as well, with Witchcrafters getting hit tremendously in the meta, and the back rows really spiking up. I mean, I know we were in a back row meta, but now it's like even worse.
Yes.
Back row meta, it's like, oh god, the back row is out of control.
Yeah.
So that does also impact this deck's success as well. So we'll have to kind of see if back row kind of shrivels back down a little bit, just even a little bit, just enough for Black Wings and stuff like that to succeed again. You may see this deck rise up in popularity as well.
All right, let's take a look at the conversion rates here. Representation's up pretty high for a rogue deck, almost 50. Top 32 conversion rate of 15%. That's pretty low for a rogue deck. Usually we see 40, 50% because there's not a lot of people playing it. But then into the top 8, 6%. That's Shiranui right there. That's actually better than Shiranui.
Everyone's trying to replicate Shiny. What can you say?
Yep. All right, so moving on to second place here. My favorite deck right now, Weather Painters. What's up?
Heck yeah. Weather Painters, another deck that won a tournament. Luke Tyler, shout outs to him. You can see first place Battle Phase EU and then top 8 in the other Battle Phase pop up there. Weather Painters is a very interesting deck. It's a very control heavy deck. and probably one of the best balance users in like kind of the meta game
Oh,
right now.
it's
Um,
disgusting.
it's so stupid. Like you have an extremely high chance if you main deck Necro Valley to open Necro Valley, and an extremely high chance to either open up your Karma Cut or a counter trap or whatever back row you decide to kind of play.
Right.
With that, we actually saw today in the pop up Invoke Neos versus Weather Painters, and the Invoke Neos player went through like I think we counted like 7 or 8 traps, and only one actually did anything. The rest were all dodged by the Weather Painters.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So this deck is really, really good at jumping around back row. Obviously, using the banish to search is really strong. Some
Mhm.
people have been starting to use the direct attack one as well, just to get the banish effect off, just to continue dodging stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, this is one of the best balance users because you're able to search so much stuff. You're able to search pretty much all of your required archetype cards, and then it's just the text that are left in your deck after you're done searching. So using balance with this is tremendous. It does have very clear weaknesses, just like Infernity does. Um, but those decks aren't super in the meta. But whenever they pop up, generally Cyber Dragons, for example, this deck really can't do anything against Cyber Dragons. And then if Witchcrafters, even though they took a hit, Witchcrafters have started stacking like more Storms, Galaxy
Yeah.
Cyclones, stuff like that. So you can beat them, but you have to play very, very smart against Witchcrafters, and you can easily get outplayed. Where it should be an easy matchup for you, they tend to kind of take it right now because they're teching in for just just heavy back row, and you just happen to be a back row reliant deck for your control. Um, but yeah, really interesting deck. I'm really excited to see this deck in the XCs era because they're all level 3.
Yep.
If we get good rank 3s, these things are going to be nuts. So we'll just have to kind of see.
What I like about this deck is it no, I wouldn't say no matter what your starting hand is, but you have a lot of playable hands. You
Mm-hmm.
can get a full board off of what feels like nothing. You playing balance, your starting spell might be Necro Valley,
Yeah.
but you have snow. You know, snow brings
Yeah,
out
yeah, pretty much.
you know you get the canvas, and then you're going. You know, you're going. You can start banishing.
Exactly.
You can banish it
And
right away. Get the trap out on the field. Get your Necro Valley down. You're ready to
right.
go. You
Right.
know.
And it's one of those decks that requires a little bit more thought, uh, into matchups specifically. If you know a deck can't OTK you, for example, you could, for example, search a snow because it's like, okay, I know this deck can play Black Rose Dragon, or I know this deck is playing snow. I'm gonna search another snow, even if it delays me getting my Thunder Canvas and stuff out, because I know my board's gonna wipe, but I know I'm not gonna die, and I'm just gonna summon snow and reset my entire board.
Right, and that's
Um,
just great.
and there's just a lot of thought like that, and especially in a side deck format where you can take things like Wielder and stuff
Mhm.
like that. It's just an interesting deck to kind of take. Really, really enjoy the deck. Gets absolutely destroyed by Chaos Hunter. What can you do? Life
Right.
sucks. um,
But I love
but yeah,
control decks, so this one's great because you can just set up a board that's very hard to play around. And
yeah.
that's
And a lot of people say, "Oh, Resonant Sleeper, boring deck, takes forever." Listen, half the time, if this deck is stalling, it's because it's dodging a million back row, and it literally cannot do anything but dodge it. Like, what else are you supposed to do? I'm just gonna eat the
right.
floodgate and lose? Like, no, bro. I'm gonna dodge the floodgate until you stop using it, so I can kill you.
And you gotta be careful because you can run out of dodging too, because you have to be able to
You
search to
can,
do it.
yeah.
So
So one thing actually I've noticed some people don't know. You can dodge to search, but you can only search once. But you can, since they're quick effects, you can actually dodge everybody. So someone got hit with a drowning mirror force today, and then all three just dodged. He only searched one because you can only search one, but you can still chain, so all three dodge, and he doesn't get none of them get
oh,
affected by the
nice.
drowning.
Okay, I'll have to remember that one.
So,
I like that.
fun facts.
All right, let's look at the conversion rate on this one here. Okay, and overall represented 46, so almost as much as Infernities, but look at the conversion rates a little bit different there, 13% and 4%. This is
Yeah.
almost like a meta deck.
Almost. I mean, I do believe out of all the decks that out of all these rogue decks that we have presented today, this deck probably has the best chance of becoming a tier 3 deck. Kind of tier 3.5, kind of like where Goki is, or was rather,
Right.
where it's like really good but has clear counters. So I don't know if it's actually tiered or how good it is. But if I were going into a competitive meta, I'd rather play this than Inferni, where Inferni is just kind of, well, did I draw my True Date and my Heat
Right.
Wave? Where this one, it's like I can actually play, and I'm good unless they, side deck Chaos Hunter. And then if I don't have a side
Right.
deck for that, like I have to figure something out. So
All right. All right, so moving on now to Rye's favorite deck, the one he was hyping at the beginning of the video, Dragoonides.
all right, we just go next, dude.
Well, this is where it starts getting sad because look at this, second place in anti-phase, and that was it. That was it, and that was our boy Night Fox. Sejro, I think, has moved on and
Yeah,
has
some
left
people
Night Fox
dropped
in
it,
the
dude.
dust by himself
Yeah,
to
I mean,
represent the deck.
another OTK deck, but this one cannot use Hatronade. That's really the
Right.
story of Dragoonity. And maybe that's something Konami needs to take a look at. Why the hell are OTK decks coming out just for them to get nerfed for Hatronade? This deck wasn't doing anything. No one was threatening
Right.
winning really serious prize money with Dragoonity. Why the hell did it get nerfed? Why did it lose Hatronade? Because Hatronade's not healthy for the game. That's why. That's the only reason.
Right.
It's so dumb. It's the dumbest shit ever. But anyway, this deck it does the same thing as every other OTK deck, but it can't play Hatronade. The biggest difference it's a banish versus a destruction effect, which would be amazing if something like Curstrons were in the meta. But unfortunately, things like Witchcrafter absolutely destroy Ascalon effect. You can't really do anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I mean, you can't. You're pretty good against the Neos decks. Neos decks, I will say, this deck is good against. We saw, I think it was Jade Hex play a Hatronade variant of Dragoonities,
Mm-hmm.
and that was his whole strategy. It's like, screw the Lance. I'm gonna go full on Hatronade and back row hate. And if you're playing Neos, I don't care. You're not gonna use your Neos protection. I'm just gonna banish you off the board. But beyond that, I mean, I think they need Lance and they need Trunade to be victorious, and they lost Trunade. So
Yeah,
I
and
don't know what they're doing with this deck.
I'm looking here just to see who they lost to, and it was the Witchcrafters. Yeah, and I believe it was a pretty
Yeah,
quick matchup. So
it's so hard. It's so hard for this deck to face Witchcrafters because their monster effects is everything. And if you can't use your monster effects, yikes.
right.
You know? So, and they don't really have a clear cut answer to it. Every answer is really just janky and not really. It's like any other deck can just do it better.
All right, now you're gonna see what conversion rates usually look like here on Rogue decks. There you go.
There you go.
42% represented 12. I'm surprised it's 12 to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
surprised.
who's out here playing Dragoonity?
Right.
Actually, we had a lot of Dragoonity players kind of come in. Jade Hex, H. Murata was playing it today. Obviously, Night Fox plays it. Cedro is pretty much given up. He's gone Infernity, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Infernity is better Dragoonity. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. If you're gonna play OTK, play the best. All right, moving on here then. This is a deck Ryi actually got me into. Geez, what 3-4 months ago at this point? I can't remember. But
A long time ago. Was
yeah,
it back in January, February?
was it that long ago? All right,
It
but
was a long while.
it's a fun deck. It's a stall, burn, cancer, kill you kind of deck, and as you Senjus, it's fun because you get to stall, you get to poke, you get to burn. It's got a little bit of everything in it. I like it.
Yeah, so you Senju, it keeps getting, not really good matchups for it. The newest one being Witchcrafter, of course, which I feel like we keep saying Witchcrafter's like everything. But really, Witchcrafter does shut down for this deck probably the most out of all the decks on the list. Just simply because even if the biggest trap is to just let your opponent summon all their Yosenjus and then negate so they can't go back to the hand.
Right,
It's like,
then they're in
oh.
trouble.
And then you're like, oh shit, So it's like, I've seen some people. Obviously, there was that legendary dude that four-road Witchcrafters. I think the week Infernity one was that last week.
It's this
last week.
deck. Yeah, it's this guy.
Yeah, it was this
yeah.
guy. Yeah, so
Yep.
he was playing more Sword Sting and the Lava Golem over and over,
Yep.
and then Shadow Game, the Charge. Unfortunately, with them milling less now with the nerf, I don't think that strategy is very viable because
Yep.
they're not milling as much for your Shadow Game. Yosenjus, they just need. They need more at this point. I think they need support again. The decks are getting too strong again. I am interested to see them in XCs. They spam monsters like crazy, so we'll have to see what they can do with the XCs if anything too wild. And yeah, that's pretty much where we're at for this deck. This deck is still amazing against OTK. This is probably one of the best decks against OTK. Actually, funny enough, I did a MC Blue Skies. He does tournaments. And the day Weather Painters came out, I played in his tournament at like 4 a.m. because I couldn't fall asleep. And in that tournament, you could play multiple decks. Well, I just play Weather Painters, and people would play OTK, Cyber Dragon, or Black Wings against me. And if I came up against those people, I just switched to Yosenju to just stall them out and burn them.
Right.
So it still does amazing against OTK. But in a back row heavy meta and a Witchcrafter and Monster Negate heavy meta, they're just not as useful right now. So I think we're going to probably see them in the back burn for a little bit.
Everybody, you always hear about every deck. Someone's like, dude, if we had this card, this deck would be broken. And they said that about Kama 1. We got it, and it
It
was
just
all
came a
right.
little too late, just a little bit too late. If it
Right.
came out like a box, maybe 2 boxes
Wasn't it just
before,
like 2
it would
boxes
have been
later? It was like they came out in a mini, then there was a main, and then a mini. And it was already too late.
yeah, yeah.
It was
Well, it's
so.
because they released Dark Magician at the time, so
Okay.
we can't play the back row heavy version of this deck anymore. Now we have to play OEM heavy version, and then it died again because Samurai Destroyer. But then Samurai Destroyer got nerfed, so when you send them back for the comma 1, it doesn't screw you over anymore. So it got buffed again, and it was
Right.
amazing. And then Witchcrafter, and you're like, oh my god, stop! Just give me one good patch of
Right.
this deck.
Right.
But it's always something. It's always something that's just like they're so close, and then you get knocked back a little bit. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a fun deck to play. You get it with Ritual Beast too. So if you're getting a new account and you get Ritual Beast, you
Yeah.
can pick this up along the way. So
This deck you will get cog. You will get cog by just your opponents will mauled and get salty every time. It's great.
right. All right. Moving on then to the last deck on the list here, and this is Mythyard's favorite. Again, most of these decks making it here for a second week in a row. We don't always see that on Rogue decks, but Evil Eye. Look at that though.
Yeah.
Two finishes. That's
Yeah.
not bad for the guy at the bottom.
I actually think there's a lot of potential in Evil Eye. They are quite the interesting deck, being able to be untargetable, constant. Right now, there's not a lot of monsters that are like, oh, can't target me. There's like Casitas, and that's it. You don't have like Saber Dancer and stuff like that in the meta right now. So this deck has been doing quite well recently. Um, Especially the see you later build. Yeah, so if you clog your field, I've seen ones with like Fiendish Chain and stuff. So you clog your field, you just see you later back your monster, you bring it back out, equip whatever you want to equip to it. It did win. I don't know if it's on here. It did
It was
win the
last week. I
duel
got it. Yeah, that
last
was.
week. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it did win like $100 tournament. It's been
Yep.
doing very well. It's been topping crazy. Recently, it's the best deck for like graveyard control. Because every turn you just banish a card from the graveyard, right? So with Invoke Neos being so massive, right? It's like, oh, I play Alistair and I'm gonna, invocation summon. Okay, well, I'm just gonna banish whatever you target. I don't
Right.
have to wait for you to do it. You're gonna target and you're gonna be like, I'm gonna use these materials, and then whoop, your material's gone.
Whoop.
So that's probably a reason why they're kind of so up there right now. And then of course, yeah, a lot of people are switching to targeted, back row, Raigeki break, Karma cut, stuff like that, and you
Mhm.
can't target the monsters that are equipped with the eye. So
What's slowing this
interesting deck.
deck down though? I mean, right now is it just big brain? Is
They
it
don't have real. It's kind of like the Trimid issue or the Noble Knight issue. They don't have real monsters. The Medusa is not a
right?
boss monster.
No, it
The
takes a while to make
Medusa.
her into a boss monster.
Yeah, she's not even the mini boss of the deck.
Right.
She's supposed to just be like a monster of the
Right.
deck. She's supposed to be like the Kizaru in Six Samurai. She's not the Kazan, she's not the Fuma, she's not the Shien. She's just another card. She just
Right.
happens to have the only relevant effect right now. So they have some crazy boss monsters. They have some crazy extra deck monsters, and if they get those, it would be interesting to see where this deck goes. Like you can see, they only play so many monsters. Obviously, their field spell and stuff searches, so it's not like a big deal. And then yeah, they have Storm, which is really ridiculous. They want to destroy their field spell, so Storm's amazing in
Right.
this deck. So that's really what's holding them back. They just need like a better monster instead
Just
of
more
Medusa.
monsters, right? Isn't there
Your
just like
boss monster can't be 1400 dead. It's just, it doesn't
right?
work.
I mean, there was only a couple to begin with, right? There's these two and maybe one or two more that really didn't do a whole lot. So there's not a lot to choose from.
Yeah, pretty much. There's nothing. These two that you see right here, they're like the only two relevant ones.
Right.
So
So, all right.
we'll see. We'll have to. But I think it's a deck that's worthy keeping your eye out on, because the amount of tops they've been getting like this week,
Mm-hmm.
I think is pretty interesting to note.
Well, of the decks that we've seen this week, we got Dragoonity, Weather Painters, and Evil Eye. Those would be my picks to see again next week. Infernity,
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see a lot of. Yosenju's, I don't think we're going to see a lot of. So
Yeah, I think it's probably like if it's pure volume, because I think people at this point also aren't going to play a lot of Weather Painters, because
mhm.
they're a control based deck, and control based decks just generally don't get that many players. Once they
Right.
kind of like, oh, okay, I know what you do, they don't play it as much. Probably going to see. What are we gonna see next week? I'm gonna say in Rogue decks. Does Cyber Dragon count as Rogue or no?
N- I I asked Kamel, he said
I
no.
don't know.
I was
You don't
like,
think
I
so?
don't know, man.
I
They're
guess if you don't count them, I don't know. I guess Dragoonity is just gonna be king again because everyone just love. There's just a fan base for Dragonities that won't go away.
yeah, it's
So
one guy.
I
He
think
he enters 15 tournaments a week to get him on the power
so
rankings and
I
into
think
the
that is that alone is what's going to keep it in there. I think the other
yeah.
decks just aren't going to have enough people backing them up, or people will realize how good Evil Eye is, and then Evil Eye finally goes up to the meta. I don't know. We'll see. The meta is in turmoil right now. No one knows what's good. Even no matter what website you go to, they're all like, "Yeah, I don't know what the meta is, man."
Well, as long as Luke Tyler is around, weather painters are going to end up on here because he's going to score
Let's
some points. Yeah.
go. Yeah.
You know how he is, man. He played tri-mids for what, 4 months straight? I
Yeah,
swear.
he just played it straight up. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
So
got to get Wayne on this deck. Then it's for sure secured.
right. That guy's an animal. All right. I hope you guys like this video. It's always a lot of fun. And if you do like it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to follow us on Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. You want to get in the Discord because that's where we do our tournaments and that's where we host them and that's where you're going to find out about them. They're always free to enter, so make sure to check those out. Make sure to check out Gamersupps in the description below. You can use the code DLE for 10% off. That's
Very
all
true.
I got. What do you got, Rye?
Now check out the YouTube tournament Saturday from the 11th. So don't, if you're in the future and it's like 3 years since we posted this video and whatever reason you're watching it, not that Saturday, this
No.
Saturday.
Yeah. All right, guys. Take it easy. We're getting out of here. I'm Circus, and that's Rye.
Bye, YouTube.